battlefield on the roadside, face down, hands on his head, and fingers in ears for protection, the way they had been taught. For the moment he saw the black dawn, dropped by a plane overhead, he knew it was a bomb. Then came a humongous sound, louder than any he had heard until then. And a flash of lightning, so bright, it penetrated his world eyelids, pressed against the wet earth. It went through him like the sharp edge of a knife, or worse, for it seemed into his whole body at the same time. Yamaguchi did not know about gamma rays, how thirsty they are, or how they suck the life out of the bodies they touch. So when things felt to have calmed down, he tried to stand up, wobbling on his feet and confused about where he was. Certainly not in the laboratory anymore. The sound, the light, if something had hit him up and threw him into a darkness he could not recognize. Not the calming darkness of the night, but a sinister, brownish dark, unlike any he remembered. Did someone hold an old dirty blanket in front of the sun's face? And why did the blanket grow darker and dirtier by the minute? Yamaguchi noticed two things, one bad and one good. The bad thing was that his forearms had big blisters on them that held, that burned like hell. And the good thing was that he remembered where he was going before the bomb dropped. Work, where he went every day, the Mitsubishi factory. He steadied himself on his feet and walked in what felt like the direction of work. On the way, he saw people dead, cougars, and more confused than himself, bodies floating on River Kanakawa, and a man leaning against a pile of debris, his head bent to the side, seemingly staring where his missing left arm had been. When Yamaguchi got to work, and the Mitsubishi building was not where it had always been, he decided to walk all the way back to where he had started in the morning, the Hiroshima Railway. If trains were running, and he hoped they would be, he could catch one to go home to his family, tell them about the loud sound and the bright light, the dead bodies and the brown sky. They would believe him. They would nurse the wound on his arm, and they would help him find new. If not if only his last wish would come true, the train would be running, and he would be there in time to catch one to where his family lived. Certain doubt, it's never lucky. By the way, that's a true story. I didn't do the investigation on it, but the journalist did. And when I heard it, I was tremendously grateful for the effort of the journalist. And this is about something that's much closer to our time, and you're familiar with it. It's about a prisoner in Guantanamo Bay. It's called Dose. Please, says Dose, the Afghan prisoner whose name means friend. The interrogators promised I will have them back. Please, help me get my poems back. They're precious, they're mine, I need them. Dose, the soft-spoken Afghan prisoner whose name means friend, was whisked from his home in North Pakistan, blindfolded, shackled, confused, exhausted. He was placed on board a noisy plane to a bay in Cuba, where he sat in a cage for 3 years, wearing an orange jumpsuit and thinking, they can't really keep me here, can they? until he decided anyone should be able to invent a shovel and start digging a dirt road in the mine. And so we traveled every day through the rubble, the dust, the humiliation, the sweat, the exhaustion, the rage. We traveled to a place where the sky was again clear and blue, where small birds landed on the tallest trees. No, they can't. But your three peacocks were those third sapiens he needed to write about. His perfect that day, which meant he needed something to write on, not to mention something to write with. But inmates were forbidden paper and pen the first year in case they poked themselves in the eye or killed themselves before watching the war on flash down the toilet, or exchanged coded messages about the desire to have a massage.
I know that's your idea.
Well, yesterday, they scratched a few lines of poem on one of them with a plastic spoon. Then the guard collected trash and his words were gone. A year later, the jailers provided awkward rubbery pens, so soft they could not be used as weapons of any kind of destruction. Those wrote about love, his homeland, and his hope to be released. The inmates were delighted when he mocked the captor's funny haircut. They passed the poems from page to page, using a pulling system fashioned with threads from thread. They read, listened, walked miles inside the cave. Literature has never been so sorely missed as when those sheets were confiscated after the death. Then came the biggest surprise. A military tribunal decided those was no longer a combatant foe. He was not a threat to global peace after all. In fact, he could have been called innocent. If one cared to describe his state, he was flown upon the discovery back to Afghanistan in shackles, together with 16 other inmates, dropped off at Bagram Air Base near Kabul in dead silence. No apology, not a word about the consequences of it. Please, said those, I must have my poems back. The interrogators promised they will protect them. They are mine. Please, give them back. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Hey. Hi, my name is Lily Tajibini. I work for Code Pink as their Iran coordinator. How many of you have already made calls to your Congress members for no war with Iran? Awesome. What we need to do is keep making those calls, keep telling our members in Congress that a war with Iran is unacceptable. We do not need to go into another war, another senseless war that will kill millions of people. How many of you are planning on meeting with your members of Congress or wanting to go to Congress to talk to members? So we can have a sign-up sheet if you want that we can pass around. If you're interested in coming to Congress and bird-dogging or meeting and speaking out against a war with Iran, please let us know. Before we introduce our next speaker, do you want to do some chants?
Yeah!
Do we want to do some chants?
Yeah!
Tavon?
1, 2, 3, 4, we don't need another war!
1, 2, 3, 4, we don't need another war!
1, 2, 3, 4, we don't need another war! 1, 2, 3, 4,
We don't need another war!
1, 2, 3, 4,
We don't need another war!
Alright. We're doing over the song. You're just gonna repeat after me. I just made this up, so I'm sorry. Donald Trump, don't you see?
Donald Trump, don't you see?
We will smash the war machine.
We will smash the war machine.
You can try with all your might.
You can try with all your might.
You will never win the fight.
You will never win the fight.
Donald Trump, don't you see?
Donald Trump, don't you see?
We will fight the war machine.
We will fight the war machine.
You can try with all your might.
You can try with all your might.
You will never win the fight.
You will never win that fight.
Hands off!
Hands off!
Iran!
Iran!
Alright, one more. Trump and Bolton are looking for war.
Trump and Bolton are looking for war.
We won't take it anymore.
We won't take it anymore.
Lying on the news every day.
Lying on the news every day.
Can't believe a word they say.
Can't believe a word they say.
No two bombs, we want peace.
No two bombs, we want peace.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
U.S. out of the Middle
I
East.
said U.S. out of the Middle East.
U.S. out of the Middle
I
East.
said U.S. out of the Middle East.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
I said U.S. out of the Middle East.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
I said U.S. out of the Middle East.
U.S. out of the Middle East.
No to war.
No war.
Yes to peace.
Yes to peace.
No to war.
No to war.
Yes to peace.
Yes to peace.
Take it off and come out of here.
So our next speaker is Donna from National Iranian American Council. She is the national organizer.
Hi everyone. Hey. So again, my name is Donna. I'm the organizing director with NIAD Action, and I am Iranian American myself. So the past couple weeks, really the past couple months, have been a very difficult time for me. But I think when you want to think about where we're at right now, we have to think about how we got here. And at the end of the day, we're here because of Donald Trump and the war hawks in the White House. So we had a nuclear agreement that was working. We saw the light at the end of the tunnel, diplomacy with Iran, possible, and then Trump, Bolton, and Pompeo decided to tear up the deal and prevent peace from happening. What happened after that? They decided to ratchet up sanctions while Iran continued to comply with the JCPOA. What's happening because of that? We're seeing a major economic crisis, economic warfare on everyday average Iranians inside of Iran. People can't afford to buy bread, milk, meat. People don't have access to proper medicine. And while we're talking about preventing bombs from dropping on Iran, Iranian people are having to deal with the economic warfare that Trump has orchestrated over the past couple months since he pulled out of the JCPOA. Now, this is something that hits pretty close to home for me because my family suffered under sanctions prior to the JCPOA in a really big way. So the majority of Lebanon's family is still inside Iran. It's a very big family. And my uncle was one of the pillars of our family. He was a philanthropist, small business owner, but because he was a small business owner, his business suffered under economic sanctions. He had to deal with loans that he was taking out that he couldn't pay off because of these sanctions. And he had the choice of either trying to find a way to pay them off or selling everything he owned. And under all that stress, he actually started to develop pancreatic cancer. Now, when he went to the doctor the first time, he went for just regular stomach pain. And because the doctor didn't have the proper equipment to detect his cancer, because he didn't have access to it because of sanctions, they thought it was just an ulcer. He didn't get the preventative measures that you would find in the United States at the time. Fast forward a couple months, he goes back to the doctor. They find out that he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. At this point, it's too late. The hospital don't even have proper chemotherapy to be able to treat his stage 4 cancer this QA happened, that was a huge relief for me. This was the night of the other and I know this is not a story that's
Justin Cheney and his team. That was big responsibility.
that is heard across
Cheney and his team.
the
Rumsfeld
Iranian
after was like
community
another
and
example
the
to
Iranian now,
he was the
clearly,
and he put his push papers. They went to the
and while Trump in the White House and received that message, we do have some members in Congress who are meant to utilize their ability to check analysis to put the White House in check. And there are members of Congress who stood up and said that they also know how to steal war with Iran. This is our opportunity to hold them accountable. Now, there are 2 bills in Congress right now that would block funding for an unauthorized war with Iran. Essentially, for those who don't know, Pompeo was trying to justify a war with Iran by using the 2001 authorization for use of military force that was passed to launch us into the Iraq war as justification for war with Iran. He's trying to lie to Congress and the American people by saying that Iran was ties to Al Qaeda. That's why we used the 2001 AUMF to launch a war with Iran. Total lie. And we're seeing again, a total lie.
Hi, would you be interested in getting on our email list?
I'm here by this invitation right here, so I'm good.
Lies in an old authorization for use military force to launch a war with Iran. We gotta make sure that that Congress is step up. So there are 2, as we're talking right now, we got one, that the bills I talked about earlier that would bar funding for an unauthorized war with Iran. So basically, Trump, Pompeo, Bolton want to start a war with Iran. They're going to go to Congress and ask first. So the bill numbers are HR 2354, Senate Bill 1039, introduced by Representative Ashew and Senator Udall, respectively. So if you have not yet done so, call your member of Congress right now and tell them to co-sponsor those bills. If you've already done that, if your member of Congress has already won, go ahead and tell all your friends, all your friends, call them, start calling Congress. You started calling your members to call Congress on Thursday. We've already generated 250 calls to Congress in just 2 days. But we need to keep that up. People are feeling the pressure, and after the first waves of calls, we got 10 congressional offices to sign on to this bill. So it really does make a difference. That's number 1. Number 2 is Barbara Lee's effort to repeal the 2001 AUMF. So the amendment is used to the appropriations bill. We need to make sure that our members of Congress vote to make sure that goes through. So Barbara Lee is thank her for working to repeal the 2001 AUMF. All your members of Congress support that repeal as well. So one thing we can do is make sure that we hold Congress accountable. Now, the other thing we can do is help these presidential candidates run with the Democratic ticket and have And these Democrats are running on an anti-country, running on a return to normal campaign. We need to make sure we're saying all the right things. One, we need to make sure that we're saying no to war with Iran, and that all the lies coming out of the White House are exactly what they are, lies. Number 2, we need to call for the return to the JCPOA without preconditions. And number 3, we need to call on rolling back the sanctions that Donald Trump has imposed since going out of the JCPOA. At the end of the day, if we are going to make sure that we go back to normal, we gotta one, take this guy out of the White House, but 2, we gotta make sure that the people that would replace him are good enough to go back to normal, and then some. Really open up the path to diplomacy once again. So, we're done. Democrats candidates, show up to their town hall meeting, make sure they're seeing their face, make sure they're hearing your voice, and make that voice loud and clear. No more with Iran, no more sanctions, return to the Iran nuclear deal. Thank you.
much, Donna. Let's give her a big round of applause. Our next speaker is Brian Becker from Answer Coalition.
Thank you, friends. The reason we're here, of course, is that the U.S. government narrowly, or at the last moment, decided not to launch a war of aggression on Thursday night against the people of Iran. If they had gone forward, this would have unleashed a war that would have been far different than the Iraq War, or the Afghanistan War, or the Libya War, or the Panama War, or the Grenada War. I mean, just think of all the times the U.S. government that says it's so exceptional goes to war against weaker, smaller countries. And this war, though, would be more like the Vietnam War. This would be Vietnam, not Iraq. Iran has 90 million people, 85 million people. It has a formidable military. It has the ability to strike American forces in Iraq, in Syria, of course, all over the region, because there are military bases all over the region. And if Iran retaliates, which Iran will do, you can be absolutely certain of it, then the war hawks like Mike Pompeo and John Bolton will say, and the media and the Democrats will echo the refrain, see how aggressive Iran is, we have to escalate. That's how Vietnam happened. The U.S. did not intend to go to Vietnam and lose 58,000 people and fight and fight and fight until it was finally defeated. The arrogant, power-hungry war makers were certain that if they staged a military demonstration of strength, the Vietnamese would get down on their knees. They would say, yeah, we're ready to compromise. We're ready to surrender. We want peace. And the Vietnamese should have taught them a lesson, because the Vietnamese said, eventually, your soldiers will want to go home, but we are home. And because we are home, and because we are defending our country and our people, we will never stop fighting. You know, the thing about imperialism and these imperialists is they seem to learn nothing. They seem to remember everything and learn nothing. They actually believe that because they have the biggest military in the world, that the formerly colonized people in the world will surrender. And guess what? This is not the 19th century. This is the 21st century. Iranians, Venezuelans, Cubans, Nicaraguans, Palestinians, all the people in the world, they're not going to surrender. They're going to fight. They're going to resist. And so, the question is for us, for the American people, do we let these lunatics drag us into another Vietnam? Or do we stand up? Do we resist? Do we fight back? Do we mobilize? Do we organize? Do we go against all the lies that come from MSNBC and Fox News? From the Republicans and the Democrats? They are lying because they are and limb to the Pentagon and to the military-industrial complex. You know what? Our people, just look at the front page of the Washington Post, thousands of people in Tennessee waiting to go for a free dental clinic. This same government says to the American people, to the poor, who make up half the country, we don't have money for you. We don't have money so you can go to a doctor. We don't have money so you can go to college and not be stuck with student debt. We don't have money for that. But when it comes to war against Iran or war against Venezuela, limitless funds. Are we going to stand for that? No. Are we going to agree to that? That's why we got to fight back. Yes, let's go to Congress, but we can't depend on Congress because for the most part, Congress has been absolutely spineless. The only way they would get any backbone is if we light a fire underneath, and that's what we have to do. We're not going to Congress with our head in our hand, but like proud, dignified, strong movement for peace and justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brian. Our next speaker is Kevin C. from Popular Resistance.
Thank you all for being here. It's a great Sunday to be out protesting war. Wow. Great points, Brian, and our previous speakers. Going into a war in Iran would be a catastrophe for the region, for the Iranian people, for the United States, and the world. We have spent more than $7 trillion on the war since the war in Iraq began. And Iran is much bigger and better organized. The U.S. can't afford a war with Iran. And it's important to put this into the context of the U.S. history of trying to dominate Iran. Since the 1950s, the famous coup against the elected prime minister of Iran, replacing him with the Shah of Iran for more than a decade, under U.S. control, dominating the people of Iran, leading to a revolution in 1979 that just kicked the United States out. The U.S. embassy is closed, is now a museum, a den of iniquity in Iran. People see it, understand the history of how the U.S. has been trying to dominate. And since that revolution, it's gotten worse. Sanctions have existed since that revolution occurred. People have been dying because of the U.S. economic war. It makes the claim from Trump that he stopped this attack because he's afraid 150 civilians were going to die. He's killed more civilians than that in multiple bombing attacks. He's killed tens of thousands of civilians with economic war. He doesn't care about civilians. That's a false story. I can't believe people actually believe that Donald Trump's such a nice guy not to kill 150 civilians when he's doing mass murder through economic war and other bombings. It's an obvious lie. Even Fox News says the story does not hold water. They talked to military and intelligence people who advise presidents. They told them that every time a president considers going to war, they're given options and told the cost of each option, including the likely casualties. So this nonsense about a half hour or 10 minutes before the bombing started, Trump had a change of mind, is a message for someone else. It's a false message we're being told. The question is why? I think the answer to that is a couple of fold. One, Donald Trump has been trying to get negotiations going with Iran, and Iran's been saying no. And they do it for good reason. Donald Trump can't be trusted. He makes a deal and breaks a deal. He breaks deals that other presidents have made. He can't be trusted. He's surrounded by criminal advisors. John Bolton, a warmonger. Until Trump fires Bolton, we know Trump is supporting war, because Bolton is a warmonger. The U.S. history since the revolution has been worse. In addition to the sanctions, the U.S. essentially sponsored a war between Iraq and Iran, killing millions of people. The U.S. providing the ingredients for chemical warfare, widely used by the Iraqis and provided by the United States. Over and over throughout history, we see the U.S. being the aggressor and Iran playing defense. Even with this most recent shoot down of a drone over Iranian airspace, they didn't shoot at the military plane that was with it, with 35 people on board. They chose not to take that action. They made a conscious decision to take the unmanned drone down to show the United States they have the capacity. What that showed the U.S. was an aerial attack from the U.S. will be met by Iran's air defenses. And that's why there's no attack. And then beyond that, Donald Trump is essentially building toward war in Iran, continuing the sanctions, continuing the threats. The only path out, which is what we advocate, return to the nuclear agreement, obey the agreement by lifting all the sanctions, show the Iranians you're serious, that you can be talked to and you will uphold the law, obey international law, and then there can be negotiations and a positive relationship between the U.S. and Iran. So we need to mobilize. We need to mobilize to say no to war. Join us as part of the People's Mobilization in New York in September the 20th to 23rd for the General Assembly's meeting. We'll have a series of actions from dealing with global warming, Puerto Rican independence, U.S. wars against Venezuela, against Iran, other threats. And so join us on that experience to show the world that the people of the United States are saying no to war. Thank you all again for being here.
Ty Berry, where's the others? Make this one loud. Hello. How about both of them?
Hello?
Alright, so we're going to, well, let's do a little chanting first. How about no sanctions, no war, peace with Iran. 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 Okay, now we're going to open it up to a open mic for anyone who wants to speak. We're going to give you a minute to speak, and then you're going to hear the... Lily, what are you going to hear after the minute is up? Okay, and we're going to start out with any Iranian Americans who are here. Please come forward. Any Iranian Americans who are here who would like to speak? Come on. We're talking about the country where you have loved ones there. We know there's a lot of Iranian Americans right here. Would you like to come forward?